Brett, you're on mute.
I don't know how I did that. But yeah, we're back. Episode 193. Sorry about that. We are live and we are brought to you with our partnership, Chinook Seedery. Use the Skipper's View discount code. The Skipper's View to get 10% off seeds. Get flavors, jalapeno ranch, smokehouse barbecue, even some cinnamon toast. Crazy flavors. Use the code, The Skipper's View. Get 10% off. We're going to jump right into it. Dean came on the show tonight straight off a Mountain Dew and McDonald's run for his sorrows because Rafael Devers is no longer a Boston Red Sox. What are our thoughts, boys? This is wild.
Sam, you talk first. I'm like, the start of this episode was just made me cringe. So
I don't know what's making Dean cry more. The start of this episode with Brett being on mute or Rafael Devers being traded. Spoiler, it's Rafael Devers being traded. I'm still in shock about it, obviously, as a Red Sox fan. I mean, it hits a little bit more home, but I mean, I think this is a pretty shocking trade for the entire baseball world as a whole, for sure, without a doubt. I mean, it's June 15th. The trade deadline is a month and a half away. This came seemingly out of absolute nowhere. I know there was a lot of turmoil between Rafael Devers and the Red Sox this year. That was pretty obvious. But, I mean, I don't think anyone saw him getting traded, let alone traded right now, let alone traded on a streak where they've won 7 of 8 games and they're back over 500 now for the first time in weeks. So this is a shocker for me, for sure. I think it's a little bit different than the Mookie Betts trade too, because there was a lot of rumors about Mookie Betts being traded before he was even dealt. This was just out of nowhere, just completely out of nowhere. I was sitting outside on my patio eating dinner. My dad had grilled burgers and dogs, and we were just kind of celebrating Father's Day out there on the patio and celebrating a Red Sox sweep, of the Yankees at home. Vibes were super high. Weather was great outside. For once, it seemed like on a weekend in the Northeast. And, boom, my brother comes back out and he goes, dude, I think the Red Sox just traded Devers. And I'm like, what? Like it was almost so random that I kind of believed him right away. Because, who makes up that sort of thing? Like, that's just how out of the blue it was. It was just, it's a shocker right now. It's a shocker to the baseball world. I think it's good for baseball, and anything with trades and blockbuster moves and all that is great for the game. Is it great for me as a Red Sox fan? I'm not sure. I'm a bit underwhelmed with the package back. I have a lot to say about it, but I'll let Dean capture his thoughts maybe a little bit better now that he's sort of back in action and over Brett introducing this show on mute, which I think is hilarious, by the way.
yeah, it's just like we talked today about, I'm trying to like name all these live streams. We talked today about, having better push out of this, off to a bad start, my first episode back. But
how typical of me to do that.
Yeah, it's like not a surprise at all. I was driving. Thank God, Elon Musk created full self-driving, so I was able to put myself into autopilot to kind of like write a blog. I'm going back and forth on everything. Hagen, did you play sports in college?
Not in college, no.
Okay, so Sam, you would, I guess, somewhat relate to this, although, yeah, I don't know. Once you sign as an athlete and money is tied to it, it complicates everything. And I think with Devers, like, yes, he's making $313 million or whatever it might be. And Hagen, you pointed that out, how someone in the Red Sox organization said for someone who's making $315 million, they expect him to do more, right? Which I agree with. But what's difficult is when he signed, he was told that he was the third baseman, right? And he didn't have to sign or extend with the Red Sox. He chose to extend with the Red Sox based on what they told him he would do, which was to be their third baseman of the future. So, like, part of me relates to that. When I was running, I signed to a school where I was told that I'd be doing XYZ events. And then after I was there for a few years, they wanted me to do, right now, a few years, kind of like right away, they wanted me to do a different event. And I didn't want to. And yes, there's this idea of like be a team player, but it's also like he chose to be there based on what they told him, and then they just flipped that. So I do relate to that in some sense, where it's like, yeah, okay, we're getting this money, and obviously scholarship money is different than $315 million, but there's still a level of frustration on his side where he felt betrayed. So I totally get where he's coming from with that. In terms of like their return, Sam, I agree with you. Like the return was they don't have to pay any of his contract. That's the return. Based on what I'm seeing tweets about, he didn't, or the Red Sox didn't go around and shop him. They talked to the Giants and they came to this deal, and the Giants are willing to eat all of the money. So that's the deal. So forget about the players that they're getting, because frankly, like it doesn't really mean much. They don't have 300 million or 220 million or whatever it is left on the books that they can now. I haven't looked at like who the next free agents are, but if you look at like timeline for winning, it's pushed back right now because you just lost your best offensive player, and it's like, what's Alex Bregman going to do at the end of this year? He's on an opt-out deal. Is he going to leave? Then you lose your second best offensive player. And I have feelings on the Alex Bregman deal in the first place because that like kind of started all this drama. Like gut reaction, like yeah, if you want to say like long term this might be better because he was just a DH making an insane amount of money, sure. But there's also just like a vibes aspect of it and a culture aspect of it. And Sam, we were talking about with Nick, it's like were the players in the locker room that upset with him for not playing first base? I guess they were. There has to have been something else going on that we don't know about. That's starting to like come out as we're talking right now. Like I just saw a tweet where it's like he said, "If you guys don't value me, then trade me." And clearly they don't value him. So yeah,
and you know, me just kind of hopping back in on this, and I would love to get, you know, Brett and Hagen's perspective after this too. I feel like, you know, it's been me and Tower talking to start this show. But you know, it shows that, you know, Craig Breslow did not value him as this $315 million player. Chaim Bloom was the one who extended Rafael Devers. Craig Breslow was not really a Rafael Devers guy from the jump, and I think this is sort of the big move that Breslow now makes, where it's like, this is my team. Like I'm doing what I want to do with this team. This is my mold. And listen, we got Roman Anthony, we got Christian Campbell, we got Marcelo Meyer, we have James Tibbs now. They have all these young, talented guys in the lineup, and there still is a log jam in the outfield. There still definitely is a bit of a log jam in the outfield, and they're gonna have to figure it out with, you know, Duran and Rafael and William Abreu and all those pieces. But this was a real stepping stone for Breslow, and it's really, you know, it makes me think that Breslow over the past few weeks, you know, obviously they've won 7 of 8. They're playing great baseball, but it makes me think, you know, Breslow sat and watched this team this year up until mid-June. It was like, this team there's some talent here for sure, but, you know, they're still a few years away from really contending, really competing for a World Series, which is obviously, you know, what the Red Sox have brought him here to do. So why not shed some money right now? The Devers deal, you know, it's long. It's probably not going to age super well. You know, we've seen a lot of these deals before now with, you know, Albert Pujols, Miguel Cabrera, to name a few, where, you know, these players sign these super long-term deals and they don't really end up going anywhere towards the end. And I think what Breslow wanted to do is, you know, hey, like, I don't care. I'm here for under contract for a little while longer. I'm going to push my chips back a little bit. And despite, you know, the team winning right now, I'm going to trade their best hitter. And, you know, maybe in 2027 and 2028, they're going to be World Series contenders because of this deal. But, you know, it's going to be a wait and see. And there's a lot of guys who are very unproven on this team and very young. So, you know, they're going to have to prove themselves, and they're going to get every opportunity too. But, you know, it definitely hurts. It's definitely heartbreaking for a Red Sox fan. You know, this was the last guy in the 2018 World Series team. This was sort of that last puzzle piece. He was the dude that you were supposed to build around. I mean, I think everyone thought that Rafael Devers was going to be a Red Sox for life after he signed that contract. I know I did. So it's definitely heartbreaking. It's deflating. The team wins 7 of 8, and, you know, what do you think the guys in the locker room or the guys on the flight to Seattle right now, because they play the Mariners tomorrow, are thinking is, you know, how much do you really believe in this team right now? Because, you know, again, like, that's they're playing in a season right now. How much do you believe in us if you're going to trade away our best hitter after we've won 7 of 8? So
if they're so upset, maybe they're happy about this. You said that.
No, for sure. And, there's a lot of stuff that we probably don't know. Maybe Cora is happy about this. Maybe this could propel something in the future. I think just we have the fan perspective right now, and from this fan perspective, it sucks. It sucks. But who knows? Maybe Devers didn't get along with as many excuse me players as we thought. So.
And
I can see I can see you're emotional here, Sam. We're gonna pass it along to Hagen real quick to get his thoughts, and then we'll get
I
right
just
back.
need water right now. That's about
Yeah,
it.
I do too. I do too. Hagen.
just jumping off points off but what both of you just said, Breslow is not the one that signed him. It was Hein Bloom, and at this point, Rafael Devers, I think he's on 250 million around there. That's a lot of money for a DH. So Breslow, yes, you're trading away your best hitter. Yes, that sucks. But just thinking of the GM standpoint of this, you free up your DH that you'd be paying $30 million for DH when the production goes downhill when he's older. So you're getting out for really the back end of this contract and whatever you want to call it, $100 million that you're saving on the end where he won't be an elite level hitter. Obviously, just projecting that. And on the Giants side of things, I think this is a great deal for them because they're obviously a win now team. With Buster Posey, he's shown that he wants to win right now. And they've shown that they want to go out there and sign a big guy these last few off seasons. And the biggest one they've been able to get is Willie Adames, and that was only like $175 million. So this is the superstar that they've been looking for the last few off seasons. They just acquired him through a trade. So I love that on the Giants side of things, even though they're going to have to eat some of that money on the back end. But at the same time, they're playing one of the biggest markets in all of Major League Baseball. They can afford to take on this contract. And also, too, I mean, the Red Sox start a series in San Francisco on Friday. So that's going to be absolute cinema to watch that take place.
Yeah, me and Brett will be at a wedding on Friday. I'm in the wedding. There's 100% chance I'm stepping away from the wedding to watch the game.
I have no doubt in that either. Yeah, this is crazy. I thought Devers getting moved. It's $250 million for a DH. The main thing, he's a Yankee killer. So this is like good news for Yankee fans. But, Devers at worst, I think, he's a top 25 bat in the league. And over the next 8 years, I think he can continuously be right around a top 10, maybe 25-ish player. So it's a huge bat. It's a huge deal. We'll see how this plays out. But I think a lot of you guys made really solid points. And if I'm Dean and if I'm Sam, I am upset with this. So, I will pour one out for you guys.
We're not talking about it. And take it off the screen because no one can see us. And you just see this. Yeah, thank you.
I was gonna chime in really quickly because I just saw a couple tweets about it. What does this sort of mean for high-end free agents who want to sign with Boston in the future? You have this guy Devers who's extended for a while and is on this very long-term deal, and is seemingly locked up in Boston. Yeah, some stuff happened this year for sure, but it's like no one thought he was actually going to be traded, anything like that, and he wasn't even getting shopped around. There's no motion or rumors or anything. So, if I'm a high-end free agent and I'm thinking about, potentially signing a long-term deal with Boston, it's like, I'm not sure how much I like it right now. You saw Mookie Betts get shipped off. You saw them let Xander Bogaerts walk. This kind of unwillingness to spend money and keep their money where they want long-term. I get it. Craig Breslow's there now. And Hein Bloom's the one that extended Devers, but it makes you think about the players' perspectives on this. Am I really going to want to sign with the Red Sox, sign this 10-year, 11-year long-term contract with Boston if, they're just going to ship me off in 3 to 4 years? And, I'm trying to build a family. I'm trying to build, this foundation in this area for a decade. And that's how baseball is these days with these high-end free agents. There's a lot of long-term contracts. So it adds another sort of complication into this whole plan that Boston's trying to make right now because, they've pissed off a lot of star players lately. It just seems organizationally wise. And you could blame John Henry and Fenway Sports Group too because, it seems like they've obviously tightened up their books a little bit. Yeah, they threw money at Alex Bregman, but there's opt-outs and there's not a lot of years in the contract. They're sort of throwing their big checks to these short-term deals, not these long-term deals. So, if I'm a high-end free agent and I'm considering Boston, there's definitely some wrinkles in that plan.
And I think those wrinkles too would be is if you're going to be a big time player and you're going to sign a long term deal with Boston, you're guaranteeing you get a full no trade clause. You're guaranteeing that they can't just ship you off just like Rafael Devers did.
Well, it seems like he's happy though.
It
That
does.
like now is
Apparently,
it
it
that
seems
does
like
he
he's.
want? Sorry, Sam.
No, you're good. But I mean, hey, like if he's even happy and players get that, it's like, he's happy he's traded away from Boston. So maybe again, a high end free agent sees that and it's like, why would I want to be in Boston if he's happy that he's being traded? There's just been a lot of stuff with Alex Cora and just the management. It seems like there's turmoil with Liam Hendricks this year, who is kind of being a baby about innings and obviously this whole stuff with Devers, and then Cora might have mistreated Yoshida last year and upset him. There's just a lot of stuff that's been coming out in these Boston locker rooms over these past few years that it just doesn't sound good to me. And I honestly, especially with like the taxes in New England and all that stuff, it just seems like a destination I might want to try to avoid right now if I'm a Pete Alonso who just opted out, who wants a long term deal, or if I'm a Zach Gallen next year or something like that. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking out loud here, but
We're talking about players from outside the organization wanting to come and sign. But what about the young players right now? Marcelo Myers and the Roman Anthony's. Are they going to want to? Are they going to want to sign long-term deals now? Campbell's already locked up. But again, maybe like we're just projecting how we feel. Perhaps the entire Red Sox clubhouse is happy about this, and 2 weeks from now they're playing great, and maybe Yoshida's back. But it's like everything's so in flux right now because I'm hearing that Masaki Yoshida might be traded, Trevor Story might be traded. They're trying to just completely blow it up. I don't see why they would completely blow it up when they are playing this well. And look, Devers, outside the home run he had, I think he was 1 for 10, or he was 2 for 12 or 2 for 11 this series with the home run, a single, and a walk, right? So it's not like he played like out of his mind, and it's not like the home run today wasn't the deciding run. It would have made things closer, obviously. But is this team still a playoff team without him if they make like another move, and maybe they feel more comfortable making a move because they have so much free cap space now? Maybe there's someone that I don't know. I haven't looked into like if there's someone who they could take on. Is there a contract now that they could maybe take on that fits their roster better? Is there a first baseman that's available that fits their roster who they can now go and get? Then Alex Bregman comes back, and Bregman's been out for this entire run. I'm trying to be positive, but maybe now they can do that.
If there was going to be the first baseman, and I know you have the DH open, but obviously you have the logjam in the outfield, and you still have Casas is going to come back eventually. Obviously, there were some trade rumors around him, but Pete Alonso, I feel like, could be the guy. He could be the guy here because the Mets aren't giving him the long-term deal. I will stand put on that. They're not giving him more than 4 years max. And Pete Alonso deserves to go out there and get what he's worth. I know he's putting up MVP type numbers, but I feel like Pete Alonso would be a great fit in Fenway. And obviously the Bregman thing, too, if he opts out, that creates a whole different wrinkle in this on what they're going to go get and what they're going to acquire. But there's not that many. We've been blessed in free agency the last few years on how many young superstars there are. They're going to get massive deals. But like after Kyle Tucker, there's really not another big young superstar for 4 years, maybe till the Gunners or the Ellies are out there.
Yeah, probably. I can't think of anyone right now. That's why this is also just has happened so fast that I haven't had time to look to see who's going to be. But I wouldn't want Pete Alonso as a Red Sox fan. I don't know if Sam you would agree with that.
Yeah, I think in the right spot. I mean, he'd probably be a DH down the line, most likely, especially now with your DH Devers gone. And I think adding a right-handed power bat could help in the future. You just traded for James Tibbs now too, who's going to be a future power threat, but again, he's a lefty. Marcelo Myers a lefty. Roman Anthony is a lefty. If Bregman opts out, there goes another right-handed bat. So it could make sense in some world. Obviously, again, we're so far away from everything. I do agree with Hagen. I don't think Pete Alonso is going to be a Met next year. But I mean, hey, like these are the conversations that are fun, right? This just threw a whole new wrinkle in the trade deadline next month too. I mean, what are the Diamondbacks going to do now? The Diamondbacks have been playing, better as of late, but they lost Corbin Burns for the entire year. Zach Gallen is probably going to walk next year. I don't see them retaining him. Eugenio Suarez has been awesome, but he's been attached to a ton of trade rumors. And this whole trade deadline is going to be centered around, this one team in the AL and this one team in the NL, and it's all going to be about if they want to sell or not, and that's the Orioles in the AL and the Diamondbacks too. I was tweeting about the trade deadline earlier this morning, and I was really trying to debate on whether or not the Diamondbacks were going to be sellers at this deadline. And now that the Giants are really loading up, really going for it, like this is a move that shows that you are full throttle into contention. Like they're probably going to buy more at the deadline now too. Buster Posey just got in there. He's hungry. He's aggressive. It seems like he's not fucking around at all. Obviously, you have the Dodgers in that division. They're absolutely loaded. The Padres are in that division too. They're an awesome team. So if you're Arizona right now, you're kind of thinking, wow, we haven't had a great year. Burns is out for the rest of the season. Maybe we do move Eugenio Suarez. Maybe we do move Zach Gallen. Maybe we do move, even Josh Naylor, who I believe might be a free agent next year or 2026. Yes. Either way, I don't think he's. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So maybe you do move those pieces, and all of a sudden that opens up a lot of possibilities at the deadline. So kind of just thinking ahead about some fun stuff. But yeah, I think this trade deadline just got a whole lot more interesting too, with just how close Major League Baseball is as a whole right now. But now that Devers has been traded this month and a half pre-deadline, you're gonna most likely see a lot of teams kind of scrambling to make moves. I think.
It looks like Tucker is the top. Tucker hasn't extended yet, correct?
No,
I'm trying to remember. So
Kyle Tucker is he's the kingpin next year. He's
Tucker is
I would hate Boston to get Kyle Tucker.
Yeah. So Tucker is the top. I mean, honestly, it's like none of these players outside Tucker are like itching my scratch.
It's a very interesting group. I think you're going to see a lot of next year where the market might get saturated and squeezed out, and you might have to wait a while before like maybe Bo Bichette gets like.
It's good players.
Yeah, no, they're good players, but there's screams a lot of players that you might. It might be risky giving that player a long-term deal. Like it might be risky giving Josh Naylor or Zach Gallen, who's not playing well, particularly this season, a long-term deal. Luis Arraez is going to want a long-term deal. I wouldn't give Luis Arraez a long-term deal with a 10-foot pole. There's a lot. It's a very interesting group, and there's a lot of players here too that are playing on some bad teams right now. So I think the trade deadline is going. I mean, it's always crazy. It seems to get crazier every season, but I think this year in particular, you might see a lot of movement.
And if you just look to, like, I know like Fangraphs has their Zips projections. I know it's projections. It's not what exactly is going to happen, but just by the projections on just overall hitter value WRC plus, in the next, I believe, 2 or 3 free agencies, the third best hitter in the market is Seiya Suzuki. And he's a great hitter, don't get me wrong, but is Seiya Suzuki a superstar that's going to change your team? Like, obviously, he's going to be a great bat for you, but after Kyle Tucker, there's not any true superstars left on.
There's no superstars out for the next couple of years. I mean, Sam, like, sorry, this is just a Red Sox episode, Brett.
It's all good.
Sam, do you after today, obviously I was ecstatic and just felt like this was a playoff team. Do you still feel that way or no?
It's tough. It's tough. Obviously, like I want to think so right now, and the run that they're on has been fun, and it's been cool to see it without Alex Bregman. But you just traded away your best hitter. And the AL East is tough right now, too. I mean, Tampa Bay's been on fire. Toronto's been hanging around, and they're well above 500 now, too. And while the Yankees have seemingly slowed down a bit, like it's still they're still the Yankees. They're still going to make the playoffs. They're probably going to win the AL East. It's going to be interesting. I think this is probably a team that's, going to be in the run for making the playoffs. Maybe all year, maybe they fall apart in September, like it seems like they always do with Cora these days. And a lot of young players are going to have to step up. Like Marcelo Meyer has been playing great, but like Roman Anthony needs to get going a little bit. What is he started off 1 for 16 or something like that? Christian
he was
Campbell,
also batting. He was also batting 136 for like the month when they called him up, that was something that everyone just got so hard over the 500-foot home run. That was a grand slam. And then I like when I looked at his stats, I'm like, oh, he's actually like not playing amazing right now. Then that's when they called him up when he actually wasn't playing out of
Yeah,
his mind.
it's interesting.
So
And
I didn't understand that.
And I mean, if Breslow is willing to sell their best hitter, who else are they willing to give up, especially on the deadline when teams get desperate? Wilyer Abreu is a name that I keep hearing to be moved to. It seems like all year we've heard about him getting moved. I know he's on the IL right now, but he should be back soon, and he could net back a pretty good package. He's a good hitter. I think a lot of playoff contending teams could use a Wilyer Abreu. So it's all going to depend on how the team plays from right now until the All-Star break and a little bit beyond for the trade deadline to see, are they going to sell a little bit more? Are they going to retool? What's kind of going to happen? Right now, my gut says no for the playoffs right now for the Red Sox, but it's really just because of also, the AL East is good. The Red Sox have been playing very well lately, but it's kind of overshadowing the fact that the Rays and Blue Jays are also on fire at the moment, and the Yankees are always going to be the Yankees. So it's competitive as hell right now.
And I don't think that
Hagen.
the trade aspect of things, I know it seems like because you trade away your best hitter that it seems like you're going to be sellers at the deadline. I don't think this deal makes it seem like the Red Sox are for sure sellers at the deadline. Like Sam said, I think it's going to depend on how you play the next month and a half. But I just don't see why, if you're trading Devers, I feel like it was more of a long-term outlook for things on 6 years down the road, 5 years down the road, stuff like that. I don't think that
I don't even
means
think it was I don't even think it was that. I think well maybe it was partly that, but I think it's what Sam was talking about at the beginning, or I guess what we were texting, me, Sam, and Nick, is just like it must have been a major locker room issue if they did this at this point, because it would have been smarter, in my opinion, to hold him until the trade deadline when everyone was hot and heavy thinking they're gonna make the World Series. And at that point, the Red Sox could probably get more bang for their buck. I just don't see how you don't get anybody back. Like, yes, they're eating the contract, but how do you not get any players back? Now, Tibbs is, I think, a top 10 pick in last year's draft or 2 years ago.
Yeah,
Or top
he was
15.
FSU.
Yeah, I want to say he was 11, but I could be wrong there.
I think he was top 15.
He was picked 13.
So that's being kind of overlooked. Like, I think that is, I don't know exactly what his minor league stats are. Sam, if you want to pull it up.
I want to say he's got like an 830 OPS with like 12 bombs right now. He's been on fire lately. He's a good hitter. He's a plus power bat. He was really good at Florida State last year. He heated up towards the end of the season too and really boosted his stock. He was kind of a fringe first round guy for a little bit and then just absolutely tore it up in his last few months at college baseball. The dude rakes. He rakes. He's not getting a super high average. He's honestly a bit like a Devers. I don't think the hit tool is as special. He's more of a corner outfield type, but I mean, if you're the Red Sox and you tell James Tibbs, hey, like we're planning on you want to be up in the show soon, like start getting ready to play first base. Again, James Tibbs is probably going to be like, yeah, I'll do whatever you guys want to get up to the show. I mean, he's only 22 and he's only playing in, I want to say, high A right now. So it's going to be a little bit. But I mean, Tibbs is a good player. It might not be that long.
Look at how quickly Christian Campbell ran up the minors.
You're right. And Tibbs is a guy, like he's a guy for sure. I didn't love that he was like kind of the headliner of the package. The Giants have Bryce Eldridge. Bryce Eldridge is a surefire. What is he? Probably a top 40, top 30 prospect, maybe even top 20, something like that. Like he's huge. What is he, like 6'7"? So raw. And just not getting Bryce Eldridge back in the package is kind of criminal to me. Not even getting Hayden Birdsong in the package is criminal to me. Hayden Birdsong is a very good right-handed pitcher. He's young. He has a lot of control on him for years to come. That's a guy that you could get back that's probably, you're giving away Rafael Devers. So you should be able to net at least Bryce Eldridge or Hayden Birdsong in this package back, and you didn't get either. So I think that's kind of a swing and a miss. Sure, you got Tibbs and Kyle Harrison could be something, but again, he's kind of struggled and shown flashes at the big league level, but he hasn't really put it together at all lately. And they just optioned him to Worcester. I don't know if you just saw that on Twitter, but people are freaking out about that now too. I don't think Hagen that's a super big deal, but they could have done a lot better in this package. It's definitely a little bit underwhelming. Rating it out of 10, I'd say, around a 6.5. Eldridge or or Hayden Birdsong would have elevated that to like a 7.5, 8 or something.
Yeah, I'm wondering
for
if the Giants just viewed Eldridge as like an untouchable, but it's not like he's playing. I mean, he is playing very well, but now I'm looking at like him and Tibbs' comparative stats. It's not like it's a crazy difference. Maybe just the ceiling's a lot higher for Eldridge.
I think the ceiling's higher for Eldridge just because he has a bit
He's
of
also
a bigger
younger.
frame. He's younger. He has the tools are a bit louder. I think he's a bit safer. But again, Tibbs is a pretty safe prospect too. Like Tibbs will be a very, very solid major leaguer for a long time. I'm convinced of that. But it's just you're trading your best hitter and the guy who's locked up too. It's not like Rafael Devers is going to be a rental for the Giants. Yeah, he's expensive, but it's also he's got a ton of years. So like Rafael Devers could be a Giant for the next 9-10 years, whatever you want to call it. You'd like to think that you could at least get the team's best prospect back in the deal.
And
By the way, Tibbs played 37 games at first base in college, and I believe I saw Just Baseball in their newsletter. They sent out that he had played some first base professionally. So I guess in the minors he's experimented.
I didn't see anything in the minors. I only saw right field.
Stat for that
Yeah.
either. So
Hagen, what were you gonna say?
I was going to say, even if he isn't great at first base, and like you were saying, that's the quickest way to get him to the show, first base is the position that GMs value the least defensively. Like there's a reason why WAR like dings them the most out of any other position. They don't really care to have Gold Glovers at first base. Yeah, it's awesome if you can, but you're not really looking for defensive value there in first base. You're more just looking for can you hit.
Yeah, I mean, I just said can you play first base because I don't like Tristan Casas, which maybe you don't know that as well.
I know that. Yeah.
As to do. Yeah. I also just don't view Casas as like the long-term first baseman.
I agree. I want to chime in here because I just got a DM from a good buddy of mine on Twitter, MLB Deadline News. You guys have probably heard of him. I think he's got, he got? Yeah, he's got 37,000 followers. He blows up all the time around the deadline, so he's really good with this stuff. And, he's telling me, not shopping Rafael Devers seems like a big missed opportunity. I want to talk about that a little bit right now. How are you not sort of waiting for the deadline for teams to, like we said before, be on their high horse thinking that they might win a World Series and then really go for it? And it's just interesting how Craig Breslow picked this specific time to trade Devers where, they sweep the Yankees at home. They've won 7 of 8. That's the part that really makes me think something bigger might have happened behind the scenes that we don't really know about. It seems like Breslow wanted to get rid of Devers immediately. This is a profession that he's been in for, not the longest time right now, but I'd like to think that, he's smart enough to at least shop Devers around to different teams just to see what he might get. It seems like he just kind of called up Posey and that was kind of it. Like he's not really making other phone calls to other teams and seeing, what he could get, maybe maximizing it, maybe even throwing it out sort of in the public for a journalist to cover, be like, hey, like the Red Sox are considering trading Devers. And that's where bidding wars between two teams start. Like there was none of that. Like he legitimately just kind of shipped them off. So
yeah, to me, if it comes out that that's true, which is what I've heard as well and has been all over Twitter. If he didn't do that, to me, that's like criminal.
I mean, it almost speaks like you guys are saying that there had to have been something in the locker room or personal that Devers was trade me now, whatever it is, because Breslow's smart enough. He knows that you can go towards the deadline more, get more value out of him, especially in the new playoff format where there's not that many sellers at deadline anymore. And also, at least just shop him. Like I feel like just the shopping alone, not doing that, screams that there was something that hasn't been out there yet. That it was just he had to get out there immediately.
Yeah, but what is that? That's the
question. That's
what's bothering me.
Which I feel like it's obviously
that's the question we all.
Sam, did you message your insiders?
MLB Deadline News is pretty much as the most insider guy I can get. The only insider I have actually is a buddy of mine who's the visiting clubhouse manager for the Woo Sox. So he'll pretty much just tell me, some prospect stuff when the deadline comes around of who's not in the Worcester clubhouse. That's about all I got. But yeah, no, it's pretty disappointing if that is true that Craig Breslow didn't at least try to start a bidding war between two teams or wait a little bit. Maybe even say, hey, Devers isn't great for the clubhouse. And again, Like, I didn't extend him. I didn't really want to have Rafael Devers long term. This kind of feels like a piece that I wanted to move from the get go, and I guess this is the right time to do it. But like, it's just interesting to me that he didn't try to at least wait for this team to maybe even cool down a little bit. Like, when it's going right, you don't want to screw with it. And they're 37 and 36 now. Like, they're over 500. Sure, they're still a ways away from the AL East. Sure, they're still a little bit away from a wild card spot too. But like, this is the time now. Like, really, it's just very questionable to me on why he would want to trade Devers now when they've been playing so well. Vibes have been awesome. It's just very, very suspicious to me, and again, very suspicious that he didn't really want to maximize the package back. That's all.
And James Tipps ended up playing great. This is from Buster only. Devers had reached an impasse with the Red Sox, getting text messages from executives. Other teams been talking with the Red Sox. So if that's what he means by that, or if I hope what he means by that is they were talking about trading him. They basically are saying that Devers did not respond following John Henry getting on a plane and going out to Kansas City, and he didn't take ground balls after that. The perception of other teams was, yeah, he was gone. Red Sox were going to move him when he didn't respond to the owner who was paying him that contract. So again, maybe it's for the best. Like, I empathize with Devers as someone who like just didn't want to move positions and was told something, and then they went back on it. And Sam, like Hagen, like you said, it's like it was a different GM at the time who said that, but at the end of the day, it is what it is.
I just think it's crazy too, because when all that stuff was happening that he wasn't playing first base, I mean, Brett brought up the question and we thought it was crazy, was can Rafael Devers get traded? And we were like, there's no way in hell that happens. I said he was gonna start playing first base within 2 weeks. I guess I should have said he was gonna get traded within a month.
Well, I also just didn't think that someone would be willing to take on the whole contract.
I mean, especially because he's an awful third baseman, respectfully. He's not a good defender at third base.
No, he is. And they have Matt Chapman too. They have a
that
platinum Glover third baseman right now. So Devers is 100% getting a DH, and they DFA'd Wade Jr. and Dom Smith's their first baseman right now. And Dom Smith is kind of having those Dom Smith type runs where he's playing well, but like it's Dom Smith. So Devers either has to DH for San Fran or play first base unless Matt Chapman goes down. Like, Matt Chapman is not moving from that spot.
Chapman's hurt. He got hurt like 2 days ago. So Chapman is hurt, but let me look to see how long it is, because
it's not long. It's like wrist inflammation.
He's on the shelf for a month. I guess
still though, I mean, like
sliding for a month, but that doesn't really. Yeah, now I'm starting to get a little annoyed. Devers is happy about this, but he's going to a team where he's doing the same exact thing.
What happens first base though? What if he's happy playing first base now?
No, he won't play.
Dude, if he's happy playing first base, that's when it's just 100% a Devers versus the Red Sox management.
Yeah, if he goes to play first base, then I will no longer be upset about him leaving.
Imagine Posey talked with Chapman and was like, "Yo, take one for the team and move over to first. Let Devers play third."
No, they would never do.
I know
it wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't make sense. Chapman's as elite as they get out there, but I mean, it's funny to think about. It's a crazy trade. It's probably the craziest trade I've seen since I've been covering baseball, trying to cover baseball full-time independently, or, affiliated with the Skipper's View. But, I'm not, writing for MLB.com. Not yet, at least. Hinting credentials at Dean. But I just noticed he put sad under his.
Yeah, you can add like titles. Talking about credentials, that was on my docket this week to start adding people to that. But now I don't want to do anything, so.
Dean's gonna get like a tub of ice cream tonight and just like eat it with a spoon, like he just got broken up with. I already had
Mountain Dew and McDonald's, and I feel disgusting. So, Mountain Dew is like my vodka.
If any of the Tomahawk Talk guys are listening right now, this is when you talk about like a little bit of stuff not about baseball. You don't, talk your entire show about that. So.
Or killing people.
I just like to throw shade at Jeb. This isn't even a Ben thing. Ben is awesome. I just want to throw shade at Jeb if he's listening to this right now.
Jeb's not listening.
You just said you were
Joe's
doing
most
it.
likely not listening.
I guess, and sorry to interrupt. I guess maybe one of the big reasons why Breslow didn't shop it around is because the Giants did want to take on that entirety of his contract. So maybe Breslow's like, you know what, maybe this is the only team, or the only opportunity that I'm going to get to totally get Devers off the books. So I'm just going to rip it right now and not even think about it because I won't have to pay him $250 million. That's my only sort of justification of thinking of why Breslow didn't think and stop to shop him around and cause bidding wars for a better package. Maybe really all he cared about at the end of the day was just getting all of that money off the books.
Which
And if the Giants were willing to do that right away, he might have just sent it.
Sorry, you
go.
go.
Sorry, Brett. Go.
I was just going to say, I don't think it was mentioned, and apologies if it was. Chapman just signed a 6-year extension with the Giants as well. And that was for $51 million. Like maybe Posey was looking at it like, hey, we're going to lock up third base and the DH for the next 6 years with these two, right? Like Sam said, he's an elite defender, Chapman at third. The defense is not going anywhere, and Devers we know is an elite hitter. So, and Chapman, has showed signs of being a very good hitter. Honestly, based off the defense, who knows how that contract plays out as he gets older, but defense, I think it's going to be there. Devers is going to clearly now be there for 8 years. So it is kind of a security move for the Giants, even though we're looking at it as like shocking to take on.
You lost me. You contradicted yourself a few times there.
I'm saying Devers, that, I think
Devers
Posey,
is.
I know.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, I think that Posey locking down DH and third base, it's a solid move, and we know, in terms of Devers in the DH spot, if that's what we think he's going to be playing, we know he's an elite hitter. And then with Chapman at third, we know he's an elite defender and has the potential to show signs of elite hit tool. He's done it in the past. He's not necessarily known for the hitting, but he is an excellent player, Matt Chapman. So 2 deals, 2 large-term deals for 2 guys who are going to be with the franchise for at least the next 6 years combined.
No, it's a good point. I'm very happy you included that because I honestly had forgotten that they extended him. And I was sort of wondering, when he might have departed from San Fran. But it's nuts. I mean, they're trading for Devers. I mean, you'd have to think every organization sort of views him as a DH now. The defense was never going to get better with age. And honestly, it only seemed to help his bat a little bit that he could sort of just focus on hitting. So it's not a bad investment for San Fran, but they gave up a decent haul. Again, I think it's a bit underwhelming, but they gave up some sort of haul to really acquire this $250 million DH because I think that's something that he has left on his deal or whatever it is. So it's an expensive DH, but they needed the power, man. They haven't had a 30 home run guy in a while. They're playing great baseball again right now. I really like Bob Melvin. I think he's a super good manager, and I think he kind of gets overhated sometimes. I've always been a Bob Melvin guy. And again, this is Buster Posey. He wants to be aggressive. He just got the job. He wants to prove to everyone that he knows what he's doing. He's not just a great baseball player too. He's also a great baseball mind. So this is great for San Fran, and this is going to be fun to not only see Devers play against the Red Sox, and sure, it's going to upset me a little bit, especially if he plays well against them, but it's going to be fun to see sort of this Giants, Dodgers, Padres, 3-headed monster in the NL West rivalry type bidding war, whatever you want to call it, down the stretch, especially, come deadline time too. It's going to be super fun because these 3 teams look like juggernauts right now, and they're all in the same division, which is actually good for your Mets, Hagen, because they can all beat up on each other.
Yeah, I just happened to pull it up.
Little bit in that ballpark. But I think, like you said, this is a 3-headed monster now. The Giants are going for it. They're in win now mode. They're trying to compete with the Dodgers, the Padres. The Padres are in win now mode. We know that their ownership long term, their payroll is going to have to go down a little bit going forward. So they're in win now mode. Giants are in now mode. Dodgers are in now mode. They're going to be there for a while. And I think that means the Diamondbacks I know they're already kind of the odd man out just for the injuries. Burns, you're going to lose all of this year, most of next year too. Gallen's been good. They have some good pieces you could sell. If I'm the D-backs, I think that's the biggest takeaway from the division-wise for me is the D-backs, I think, should capitalize on opportunity to sell and get ready for next year, or whether it's 27 when Burns is back, because they have a lot of good pieces that could be dealt. Restock that farm, get guys who are even close to Major League ready to compete. Let Jordan Lawler play. If you get rid of Eugenio Suarez, you can give him finally some run in the Major League level for the first time, where it's been like 3 years now, where he comes up for like a week or two and then he gets sent right back down. But this is a very fun division, and like you said too, just for the Mets, I think it works out good for them too, just because all these three teams have been beating up on each other a little bit. Uh, this is an exciting trade. I know I'm not a Red Sox fan, and I know I don't feel the pain of it, but I think this is a good trade for baseball. I mean, this was the most shocked I've been by any sports move at all since Luka got traded. I know it was only like 6 months ago, but it's just a league-shattering move almost.
Sorry, I'm just messaging the Red Sox. Yeah, there's nothing else to talk about today. Brett, if you had other notes, just
No, it's
yeah,
all
just
good. This was
rip
this
them up
was
because this
breaking.
was Hagen. I as the hours have gone by, my future father-in-law just messaged me about this. I want to tell him to go fuck himself. See, I'm not ready. Like I was about to say, as the hours have gone on, like I feel like I'm becoming more and more in terms of this, and then I get a message like that, and I'm not in terms of this. Hagen, to kind of like pile on with what you said. Yeah, no, never mind. I'm not ready. I'm still sad.
Blockbuster trades like this, seemingly out of the blue. Not even seemingly out of the blue, just blockbuster trades in general are so fun for 29 teams out of 30 teams and fans of teams in Major League Baseball. They're not fun for the team that gives up the superstar player, but they're super fun for the team that gets the superstar player. And I think if you're a true baseball fan, it's really cool as an outsider like Hagen or Brett as a third party fan right now. I guess Brett's a little bit more involved just because Devers is a Yankee killer, like you said, Brett, and it's probably really good for you to see Devers not be in your division anymore. You don't have to worry about playing him like 13 times a year or whatever it is now. It's fun, and I'm glad Hagen brought that up too to kind of wrap this episode up. It's good for baseball in the long run, and I think this is only going to heat up the trade deadline more, which again is super good for baseball. I think July is the best month to be a baseball fan. The other sports are sort of over. Football hasn't quite heated up yet either. The weather's warm. You have the monopoly on the game. It's baseball or nothing all month long. You get the 4th of July games. You get the All-Star break, you get the MLB draft, and then to wrap it up in July, you get the trade deadline. So it's going to be a super exciting month. And it's going to be, this Red Sox team, I'll say it, and I think, Dean, you can probably attest to this too. It's been an interesting team to watch all year long, and it's only going to get more interesting to watch from here on out.
Yeah, obviously, I'm like, I jokingly posted that I want to get my tattoo removed, and I have to sell these cards. My Rafael Devers Rainbow, gotta sell it. I've been messaging people actually just now.
The skipper's view is old enough to see the creation and the demise of the Rafael Devers Rainbow.
Yeah, which is good for the skipper's view, but bad for me. I was just so excited. Like after today, like Brett said he watched the games. I don't think he did. He would have been much more depressed. Like watching Aaron Judge just strike out 3 times, ground out into a double play.
I'll comment.
I'm talking. So just absolute on such a high this afternoon. I hurt my hamstring at football today. For a while, I was like, I thought my athletic career has finally come to an end, but my body is kicking into gear and healing myself quicker than most 31-year-olds. But as I was laying on the couch with my leg raised, I'm like, it's just nothing better. And I genuinely, I saw the future of, a wild card, trading Willie Abreu for a pitcher, maybe Sandy Alcantara. He had a good start the other day. The bullpen, Garrett Whitlock in the bullpen, saving a game, which is what I said 3 years ago is the direction that the Red Sox should put Tanner Houck and Garrett Whitlock as like the back end of the bullpen would have been shut down. Everything started to come together, and then And in the midst of this, I'm going in my 162-0 MLB The Show challenge where I have Rafael Devers on the team. I have to trade him now.
You have to
I
trade. You have to
I have to
trade him
trade him.
now.
I think the
I don't know
Giants
who I'm going to
for
trade him
not a good
for.
pass either.
I was wondering this. And Dean, you should post this tonight. Go into MLB The Show and see what the game says about. I know you can't do 4 players on one team in a trade, so just take away like Bayo's brother or whatever it is, and just put in Tibbs, Harrison, and Hicks for Devers straight up, and like see if the game even like lets you make that move. I think that'd be a good tweet out there.
Oh, Devers.
But yeah, I mean, it's the big thing for me is like, why now?
We do it right now.
That's it. I think if you take away one of my thoughts, he's going to do it right now. If you take away one of my thoughts from this whole episode, guys, it's just like, why now? You know, they've been playing so well. It's just such a weird time to make this move. That's all.
And even if it was the right move, I know this is looking very far in advance because it's going to take a few years to really see if this was the right move or not. Even if it was the right move overall for the Red Sox, it just sucks if you're a fan because you don't want to think we made the move that's going to help us in 6 years from now or whatever it's going to be. Like it just sucks. I know like GMs have to think that way, President Baseball Operations have to think that way looking forward, but it just sucks because you want to see your team win now. You want to see them be the best they can right now. You don't want to be looking forward to a few years down the road, especially when the Red Sox have been playing well and they have exciting young guys on this team. I mean, best team in the American League.
Well, Hagen, that is what I think. If they did this a month ago, I don't think I would be as upset. Sam, I don't know if you agree with that, but if they
totally agree with it. I 100% agree with it.
If they did this a month ago when they were like at that low, I would have been like, okay, like this sucks, but hey, Tibbs is a first round pick. They free up all the money. It's just they just swept the Yankees. So I think there's that aspect too, where it's like we're in such a high and then just get absolutely bum rushed with this on a Sunday. Okay, let's see. Let's just see live right now if they'll do this trade. So who am I?
I did fun fact. I did watch the game today. I spoke with Hagen this morning, saying like all I was doing was like updating agenda, working on like blog and whatever.
Are you
stuff.
still on that? We're way past that. We're miles past that.
I'm on to the next. Because I was going to comment. Bello had a disgusting sinker to K Judge in. I think it was like the 5th inning. It was nice, and I was like, damn.
We need to appreciate Brett a little bit more here. The dude just grinded for an entire podcast agenda, and then the King Dean hops in and it's like, nope, Red Sox only episode. Rip up your notes, and Brett's all cool with it because he knows it's good for it's good for the brand.
He knows who Daddy is. He knows who Daddy is. Who am I looking?
Devers is just dude. Devers is it's the biggest thing this season. This is huge.
Actually, so the Giants don't accept that trade and will be the show.
That's great. That's funny.
Let's see.
What potential do Harrison and Tibbs have? Probably like B.
Let's see. Harrison has a B. Tibbs has a C. So I actually don't know. I don't know why.
Sam, Hagen, do you guys both play the show as well?
Hicks is an 82. I don't know why.
I play it here and there. I'm a franchise guy on it. I play like super realistic franchise, on Hall of Fame, and I had a fantasy draft one going for a little bit. But you know what it is the college football video game came out last year, and we got to end this episode.
Yeah, we'll end it right here.
Yeah,
I was planning on
it. But I am all in on the college football video game. I love it. I love the dynasty. I love the recruiting aspect of it. It's awesome.
Before we end it, just real quick, Sam, what are your thoughts on my 162-0 challenge?
I think it's cool. You're playing on Hall of Fame, you said?
Yeah.
I think it's cool. I think it's good for the brand. People seem to love the MLB The Show content. I know Greg Monroe posts MLB The Show blogs, so I'll plug Greg Monroe around. But I think it's good for the brand. I think it's funny. And I think you should post that the Giants don't accept the trade on Twitter.
That's literally what I'm doing right now.
I think that could not only be a banger, but I think it's also funny.
Then go through and view how Rafael Devers is going to be the next 7 years of his career. Simulate that.
Yeah, that'd be good too in a thread.
we will end on that. Thank you guys for all joining. Thank those for still listening. The Skipper's View podcast is out. Bye.
It's not out yet.